guys, Layna here. Welcome back to my channel. This channel is all about my recovery from anorexia. Today's video is a very special video. We are doing a Q&A. I asked some questions on my Instagram in honor of 500 followers on my Instagram. Thank you guys so much. It means so much to me that you guys want to follow me on this journey. This journey has been crazy and we've still got a while to go, but you guys have been a huge support to me and I really appreciate it. So yeah, you guys submitted some questions and I will be answering them today. Some of them are about anorexia, some of them are about, me, there's a good mix. So without further ado, let's get right into this awesome video. So first of all, I'm gonna be doing this in a blanket because I am cold. So yeah, and okay, so first of all, thank you so much to those of you guys who submitted questions, and thank you to you who did not as well, because you guys are still big supporters of me, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, anyways, alright, so the first question is, what truly classifies anorexia? Because there's a lot of stigma around anorexia that's like you have to be underweight to have anorexia. Weight can be a contributing factor, but anorexia is so much more. It's a mental illness as well as a physical illness. It's really hard because there's so many different things that can come with it, like compensatory behaviors, restrictive eating, and there's a lot of medical symptoms of it, like hair loss, constipation, always being cold, your heart starts to stop working. But I think a lot of the times it's just anorexia, the way that you, like the relationship you have with food honestly defines anorexia, because anorexia is just as much a physical battle as it is mental battle, and it is just as much as a battle about a relationship with food. Your relationship with food is being jeopardized, because in different eating disorders you have different relationships with food. With bulimia, your relationship is different than it is with anorexia. So I feel like weight loss isn't the only sign of anorexia. I feel like just not, like, there's a lot of signs and it takes me forever to go through them, but I feel like, just hair loss, stuff like that, but also your interactions with food, right? Are you, like, do you have an unhealthy relationship with food? I mean, in a way that's like a restrictive method, because I feel I'm not 100% on, I'm trying to be very careful with my words because I'm not 100% on most of the differences between bulimia and anorexia, so I don't want to say anything that's wrong, but I feel like one sign is your relationship with food. So yeah, alright, the next question is, how is my recovery coming? Well, I feel like it's going pretty good. I feel like I'm on a really good path, and I have a lot of rocky times. Like yesterday, I started freaking out about waffles because we ran out of waffles, and that was the only thing. My plan was to eat waffles. I didn't want to change my plan, but I changed my plan and I had pancakes. So I feel like that's a big step, and I feel like that is a sign that my recovery is actually doing really well. My birthday's coming up, and so that's gonna be really scary because there's a lot of scary food, but I feel like I'm gonna try my hardest to just eat whatever I want and not restrict, I feel like it's going really good because I've stopped weighing out my food and I've been more of a free eater, and I say frick it, like, if I want a piece of candy, I want a piece of candy. It's not going to hurt me, and I can have as much candy as I want. It's calories, I should not be counting calories. It's not healthy for me, and I'm starting to slowly see the mental calorie calculator disappear. And I have been just sprinkling cheese. Like, I didn't even weigh out my cheese. I sprinkle as much as I want on my salad. I put as much dressing as I want. I do whatever I want. And so I'm finding food freedom. And yeah, and I challenged Wendy's and fries, as you guys saw in my previous videos. So I feel like my recovery is on a really positive path. So yeah. The next question is the difference between atypical anorexia and, anorexia. So this one's kind of a hard question. Okay, so sorry, I paused the video there a little bit so I could do a little bit more research, because I wanted to make sure I was 100% gonna understand this question. So I think the question is, what's the difference between the stereotype of anorexia and what anorexia is kind of like, yeah. So I feel like usually people classify it as like, you're low weight, your bones are sticking out, all that kind of stuff, and that you go days without eating, and you don't like food, but that's not true. I like food and I have anorexia, and I never went a day without eating at least something. And my bones and my spine and were sticking out, but right now I'm pretty kind of much weight restored, and I still have anorexia. So it's just, there are a lot of things that typically people don't classify with anorexia, right? I mean, nobody talks about the mood swings and the anger and frustration. And anorexia affects people in different ways. And whatever you're feeling is valid, Typically, it just, if you don't have the typical signs, or like if you're not underweight, if you're not always cold, if your bones aren't sticking out, if you like food, your eating disorder is still valid. It is still real, and you still have anorexia. Don't let anybody tell you that your eating disorder isn't valid. Your struggles are valid, even if you don't have all the typical, like the typical, like the stereotypes. Because, yeah, you don't have to be underweight to have anorexia. I feel like that's the hugest one. Right now, I'm not underweight, and I have anorexia. I still have it. And so, yeah. I hope I understood that question right. Sorry. Where did I grow up is the next one. I grew up all around. So I was born in Arizona, but my dad is in the Army, so we moved around a lot. So let me see if I can remember all of them. So I was born in Arizona. This is not going to be in order because I'm just listing them out as I remember them. So we've lived in Virginia, we've lived in Kansas, we've lived in North Carolina, we've lived in Alabama. I'm missing some, I really am missing some. We lived in Maryland, we lived in DC. I feel like I'm missing some, but we lived in Virginia twice, I think. So yeah, but actually, we lived on the border, so we would cross over to Mississippi sometimes, and every time, so we were in Kansas, we lived on the border, so we would cross between, we'd cross between, and my mom would always be like, I guess we're not in Kansas anymore. It was the best. Actually, in Kansas, we lived in a trailer, which was so much fun, because we moved a lot, right, so we didn't see a point in, buying a house, right? We lived in a fifth wheel, and it was amazing, guys. Those were the happiest times of my life, living in the fifth wheel and just chilling and roasting things around the fire, and oh gosh, it makes me smile to even just remember it. Yeah, so I'm getting a little emotional just remembering the times when my parents were still together. Sorry. Oh, the next one's a really good question. I'm actually really happy, guys, today because I just ate lunch, so I'm fueled. And I should probably mention this, guys. Recent development. I don't get normal hunger cues most of the time, but my eating disorder doctor told me I get hangry, my blood sugar goes down. So if I get hangry or I'm like just down, it's probably because I'm hungry. So I just ate lunch and I feel great. So yeah, it's kind of random, but yeah. Also, I had, cinnamon dust toast, which was delicious. Okay, next one. Have I dyed my hair, and do I want to? The answer is yes, I have. I have dyed my hair before, but it didn't show up in my hair because I have such dark brown hair, right? And I don't want to bleach it because I really like my hair color and I don't want to mess with it. So I do want to dye my hair, but I just don't know how to find a dye that wouldn't require bleaching that would actually show up in my hair. Fun fact about me, I actually have a blonde streak in my hair. So my dad has dark brown hair like me and my mom has blonde hair. And so we think that it's just like, I have a blonde streak hidden in my hair. It's natural. If you cut it off, it grows back. And it's my birthmark. It's awesome. And yeah, either that or I actually had a twin, but they passed away in the womb. My mom miscarried my twin. Either that or either it's my mom's, the DNA in my hair, or my genes fused with my twins. So yeah. But yeah, when I was a baby, I had a little blonde patch in my brown hair because, yeah, I had a blonde streak, so I still have it. Yeah. What made you start proper recovery? Well, what made me start proper recovery? Well, I started recovery December 14th when I went and saw the eating disorder doctor for the first time. When I started recovery, but I was still engaging in serious eating behaviors and sneaking exercise, or movement, sneaking movement, still restricting, still doing all that, and wasn't really committed. I was still resisting, and I was very angry and just yelled at people all the time, and I was like, you guys are so mean for making me recover. But what made me really want to start proper recovery was realizing how done I was and how it's a vicious cycle. It's never going to end. You're never going to be able to feel peace if you continue being angry. I was done with the appointments going badly because I was resisting and being so angry at them. And actually, when I made that switch in mentality and stopped resisting them and being angry at the doctors, my doctor said to me, I'm very surprised because most of my patients aren't as open and aren't as, like, I think she was trying to say, like, I stopped being aggressive and stopped being angry at them and I stopped resisting and allowed them to help, and I was honest with them with my slip-ups, and I was honest with my family, and yeah, when we start proper recovery was realizing that how worried my family was about me, and when they looked me in the face and told me I was dying, because pretty much the last step before death is your heart starts to shut down, and my heart was shutting down. Oh, also, I just randomly thought about this, guys. I'm sorry. I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I just thought of this. Another thing that people, like, it's, like, typical. They're like, oh, you have to have been tube-fed to have anorexia. That is completely not true. I was never tube-fed. I'm just saying that you don't have to be tube-fed for your eating disorder to be valid. I mean, your eating disorder is valid if you have or haven't been tube-fed. So, yeah. Anyways. Oh, also, your eating disorder is still valid if you don't have an eating disorder doctor. If you don't have a team, your eating disorder is still valid and real. Just saying. So, yeah. Okay, this is a great question. Okay, this next, I said that they're all great questions, guys. How did you come up with the frickin' mentality? Okay, so all over Instagram, I had been seeing people with eating disorders saying "F it" to anorexia whenever they did something that would make their anorexia or eating disorder mad, right? Well, I try my hardest not to cuss, even though I do slip up sometimes, guys. I do slip up and I do cuss, but I was like, I probably shouldn't say "F it" because, part of my religion, trying to not cuss. But, so I was like, frick it, why don't I just frick it, One day I realized that I was watching my life slip away in front of me, and it broke my heart, and I was really scared, because I was like, I don't want to waste any more time and give any more time to anorexia. So I was like, let's start a frickin' mentality. I brought my mom in on it too. I asked her to help, like, I've been leaning on her and being like, is this okay? Should I just frick it? And she's like, yeah, Layna, just frick it. Just frick it, you know? So yeah, it's kind of how I saw it on Instagram everywhere, and they were like, F you, anorexia. And I was like, well, frick you, anorexia, you know? So it was my way to, like, try to not say F you. And if you do, that's okay. I just try not to say it because my mom hates that word, so I try to not use it. Anyways, the next question is, what are my fear foods? Well, I've been slowly challenging them one by one. I would say my main food fear, this is really hard. I'm between ice cream from ice cream shops and like milkshakes from Sonic's and blasts from Sonic's, and I'm also, I think one of them is mainly candy. I think those are huge food fears for me. I'm afraid of like French fries sometimes, but I'm working on that. I'm less afraid of it now. Fast food is pretty hard on me, but not too hard. Chicken nuggets are pretty scary for me. I'm just gonna be flat out. Chicken nuggets are pretty scary, but like breaded chicken nuggets. But I'm gonna have them on my birthday, so we're gonna challenge that. Yeah, but mainly candy and just ice cream and shakes and stuff like that from like fast food places are really scary for me, and especially eating more than my meal plan is really scary for me. I think eating more than my meal plan is a fear food in itself, right? I feel like it's a fear food of itself, like it's its own separate thing. But yeah. The last question for today's video is, how long have I been suffering because of anorexia? I would say over a year, maybe like a year and a half, actually. I suffered with it for a little bit before we actually officially diagnosed it as anorexia. It was a little while before we officially classified it as anorexia. I suspected that it was, but I didn't want to put a label on it because I was like, well, it's just me, you know, wanting attention, but it wasn't. It was really anorexia. And I feel like, yeah, it's been like a year and a half. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's been pretty much a year and a half. Maybe like a year and 3 months. It's just, I don't talk about this a lot, but I feel like I suffered with a little bit of a binge eating disorder when I was younger, and so it has negatively impacted my recovery because I am so scared of going back to that, and so that's really hindered my recovery. And it's, yeah, I was always regarded as the bigger sister by people who knew my family. So yeah, I've been suffering for about a year and a half, but this is hard to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. If somebody told me I could go back in time and stop my eating disorder from happening, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything, because it helped me figure out what I want to do with my life. I'm going to be an eating disorder doctor. I'm going to go to school for a degree in dietetics. I'm going to take some courses in eating disorders, and I feel like my experience with anorexia personally will help me be a better doctor because of it. There's not a lot of people, eating disorder doctors, that have experienced anorexia firsthand. And not only anorexia, I want to learn about all eating disorders. I want to be a doctor that can help no matter what. I want to create more safe spaces. I want to create more support groups for teens that are free, no charge. And I'm so happy that I now have so much more knowledge about what can affect a child. Because when I have children of my own, I'm going to do everything in my power to not label foods as good or bad, to not body shame, to make sure that they know that their body is beautiful. And I'm debating on this still, but I might ask doctors not to weigh my children. And I might get a lot of hate for that decision. When they're a baby, obviously, is to make sure that they're growing they're okay and growing. But past the age of 3 or 4, I might not. And I will never do diets in my household, and I hope my husband will share the same views on that. I will keep treats around the house. I will not label foods as good or bad. I will not I won't keep a scale around the house. I will never keep a scale around the house. Never. And I'm sorry if this gets hate, but if I ever hear about my children being weighed at school, I will pull them out of school and homeschool them. I never want my children to feel the way I have felt about my body. I was never weighed in school, but I've heard it has happened in places. I will not teach my children about calories. I may introduce my children to information about food groups, but I will only introduce them to the benefits of food groups, because there are no bad foods. I'm sorry, this is a bit of a rant, but I wouldn't trade my experience for anything. Because I have suffered through anorexia, I can help people who are suffering from anorexia get better faster, so that they don't have to suffer as long. Because I have gone through anorexia, I can help people in the future who are suffering from anorexia have more tools. I'm very limited on my options, and I'm more fortunate than most. I have an eating disorder doctor, and I have access to things like therapy from an eating disorder counselor. I am so fortunate. But I know there are a million people who aren't as fortunate and don't have any resources, and I want to change that. So would I trade my eating disorder for anything? No, I would never take away this experience that I've gone through. I am going through anorexia for a reason. There is a reason, and in heaven, when God was looking for someone to go through anorexia so they could create a safe place for people who have anorexia or any eating disorder, I raised my hand and said, I will do it. I firmly believe that. Because God wanted me to help people. I could get through anorexia and just let it go and not use my knowledge and experience to help anyone. But what good would that do? What good would that do? Can I use my experience to beat anorexia not only in myself, but help others beat anorexia? Heck yeah. I can do that. And why wouldn't I do that? My whole life, I never knew what I wanted to do with my life. I never knew. I was bouncing between ideas of what I wanted to do. I've never been so sure about anything in my life. Now I know I want to be an eating disorder doctor. I know. This is what I'm meant to do. This is what, no matter how many times I cried on my floor asking God to take this away from me, He didn't, because He knew what I needed to do. I'm going to be an eating disorder doctor so I can help people beat anorexia in a way where they can trust that I know what it feels like. Because it's hard to trust someone who hasn't gone through it. But if they can see someone who beat anorexia firsthand with their own eyes and have them with them in their recovery to help them, game changer for so many people. Why wouldn't I want to give that to them? And so, as soon as possible, I'm going to go to college. And I'm going to get my degree. So that I can not only beat anorexia once, but beat anorexia multiple times and help multiple people find a new happy life. That's what I want to do. Sorry guys, that was a bit of a rant. Thank you guys so much for 500 followers on my Instagram. Here's my Instagram username. I post there a lot, so yeah, if you guys want to follow me on there, that'd be awesome. Here's my TikTok. I don't really post on there much, but yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here to this journey. It means the world. I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to continue on this journey with you guys. I love you guys so much, and let's keep kicking eating disorder butt, guys. Together, forever, let's keep kicking eating disorder butt. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Have a great day, guys. I love you.